It is Friday, April 14th, 2023, and today we're doing Tito Santana versus Greg Valentine. This is a feud that happened in the 80s. They battled for the Intercontinental title, so I figured I'd recreate an old match from back then. These guys used to battle with Don Morocco was involved in back then. Uh, Randy Savage won the Intercontinental title, and then Ricky Steamboat won it. But Tito Santana was the Intercontinental champion for a time, and around '84 or so, and he battled Greg the Hammer Valentine for the title, and Don Morocco, and he also had Pedro Morales was a champion before that, Intercontinental champion. So there was a lot of guys around there. So I just at that time who would battle for the Intercontinental title. So I figured I would do Tito and Valentine today. So Valentine also would in a tag team with Brutus Beefcake around that time, but he was tag team champ and Intercontinental champion in the mid '80s. WrestleMania 2, he was the tag team champion. The British Bulldogs actually beat him and Beefcake for the titles at WrestleMania 2, but he was they were never the heavyweight champs, but they were the Intercontinental. Tito Santana was in a team with Rick Martel called Strike Force. So we got Tito. This is a created Tito I found. He's wrestling with a Reba shirt he used to wear. Back in the time, you could actually buy the shirt from the WWE shop at the time. And Greg Valentine was known as the Hammer. He actually had a famous match at Starrcade '83 against Roddy Piper, and like a was it like a bull rope match or something. They had the dog collar match, and then there are two guys that were actually at the first Starrcade and the first WrestleMania. Roddy Piper and Greg Valentine. They wrestled at both. So I figured this would be something to if you remember that time and when Tito was fighting for the Intercontinental title and he was in the mix. These were good times for the Intercontinental belt. Good matches, good feuds. If you remember, Tito had injured his knee and everything, and Tito that's where he actually started doing the figure four leg lock because he was fighting Greg Valentine, who was the figure four leg lock was his finisher, and so this is a I figured I'd just keep this match in the ring. It's a pin only, no exit match. So let them just wrestle without any outside interference and weapons or anything. Just a fair match. See who wins. But I remember this feud. I enjoyed it with Valentine and Tito. So yeah, let me know in the comments if you remember this feud. Remember these guys fighting back in the '80s. So I'm sure that they're. I'd have to look. I'm sure the network has some of their matches on there somewhere. Because these. I'm sure they fought in Madison Square Garden. A lot of the house shows from that time are on there. So I'm sure Tito versus Valentine's on there. Might be in there for the Intercontinental title. They fought at the Boston Garden, I think, and the Philly Spectrum and stuff. They went around the house shows. So him Tito Morocco too. And then I believe Tito had won the title, and I think Macho Man actually took the title from Tito, and then that's what led to WrestleMania 3 when Steamboat took it from Macho Man. But the Intercontinental title it was a great time for the Intercontinental title feuds and battle, and then just like the tag teams of the '80s were very good too, and fighting for the tag team titles. They were it was a good time to be watching those. If you weren't into the heavyweight title, Hogan always had it and was always defending it. If the Intercontinental title would provide actually better quality matches than the Hogan matches because they were more Hogan more had a brawling technique and stuff. There's more better wrestling skill involved with the Intercontinental title. And Bret Hart also had the Intercontinental title, but that was later on. And I think that was probably the early '90s because he was in the '80s when this was going on. He was in a tag team with Jim Neidhart, so he wasn't in the Intercontinental picture. But the Intercontinental picture was I guess from early '80s into through the to the late through the '80s, mid '80s, late '80s. It was just a good time. Ultimate Warrior eventually got the title, and was when he was defended it against Hogan at WrestleMania 6 and ended up with both belts. And the Intercontinental title was there's a lot of good feuds over the years who were of Intercontinental champions. But I think it was a really good time to be watching the Intercontinental title matches. And I believe the Intercontinental title started in the 70s, but it was I think it really became a, a big deal in the 80s. So, but if yeah, I think yeah, Greg. If I remember correctly, Greg Valentine was the Intercontinental champion, defended against Junkyard Dog at WrestleMania 1, and I'm trying to remember who the champ was at WrestleMania 2. I don't remember offhand who the Intercontinental champion was, but but I always enjoyed. I thought about doing Tito and Don Morocco too, because that was a good feud for the Intercontinental title at the time too. Because I have a Don Morocco. These are both. Neither of these guys are actually in the game. These are both created off the community creations. They got a kick out, and the Greg Valentine's actually been in past WWE too. I think he was in 2K19. Greg Valentine. And Tito on hasn't. I don't know why he's never in. He has been in these games. I don't remember him being in the WWE 2K games. Tito, they always have to find a created Tito every year. They should get Tito in the game one year. That'd be good to have him in there because over the years a lot of the guys have been in there. Rick Martel and Rick Rude, Mr. Perfect. A lot of those guys they're not in the game this year, but they were in the past. Kick out by Valentine as we're about 7 minutes in. A lot of finishers piling up here, but nobody's using them. If you don't know, the finishers are the yellow things at the bottom there. If you're watching for the first time, the little F on them for finisher. And Valentine just used a finisher. He uses Tito's reversing it now. That was pretty cool. So they say this Tito's. I mean, Tito. I like this Tito, but it's weird. So they put the shirt on him, but the shirt looks cool though. So I left it. Figured I just let Tito wrestle with the shirt. But I remember I never had that shirt, but I remember them selling the Ariba Tito Santana shirt. If you ever had that shirt, leave a comment and see who had that shirt. It's probably a collector's item now because it's like 40 years old, or nearly 40 years old. That shirt. All right, Valentine's gonna hit him with an elbow. Oh, Tito caught him. There we go. Tito hits him again here. Tito used to do the flying forearm. Greg Valentine always did the figure four, but Tito used to do the flying forearm, and then he added the figure four like luck later when he was feuding with Greg Valentine. It's 8 minutes into the match, but Greg Valentine was he was a good. He's knew you were going to get a good match when he was fighting. If you liked just the pure wrestling of it, and not the interviews, I just like to see two guys wrestle and see who wins. So Greg Valentine had good matches, like Bret Hart, Tito too. Tito had good matches too. They just put on good wrestling matches to enjoy, which is my favorite part of it. Oh, so Valentine beats Tito, and that's how it goes today. All right, I will see you on Monday. Have a nice weekend. Bye bye.